this is Chris Arbertine from Bel Air Coins, Gold and Diamonds, and the Silver Queen in Tampa Bay, Florida. Today we're here to talk about how you can get the most money for your watches when you're selling them. It's quite a lengthy process and there's a lot involved. Today Marianne here has a lot of questions about that process.
Yes, Chris, I do. Where should I go to sell my watches for the best price?
Well, prior to 1975, you weren't even allowed to really own gold. So the only place you could buy and sell your valuables was pawn shops. And basically, you could not ever seem to really get a fair price. They would want to pay you 10 or 15 cents on the dollar. But when gold and silver went up in value in 1979 and 80, it left a vacuum. I mean, people could actually buy and sell their valuables for gold value, which was going up drastically at the time. So what happened was the local mom and pop coin shops basically filled that void and they started buying valuables. They started buying gold and silver, and it morphed into gold, silver, jewelry, and of course, watches. So I would suggest basically the best place to sell watches is to a coin store. But again, something happened. You couldn't just survive as a coin store. So basically most coin stores, in order to survive, expanded. They expanded into giftware, jewelry, silverware, crystal, china. So most coin stores that you go into today would be a jewelry store, coin store. And those are the kind of places that you want to sell your valuables because that's where you will get the most for them.
How do I know if I'm getting a fair price?
How do you know? That's a great question. Well, the best way to know is to check out the reputation of the dealer you're going to. There's quite a few questions involved. How long have they been in business? Are they in the community? Are they giving back? Are they rated with a Better Business Bureau? How about, are they a member of the Chamber of Commerce? These are all great questions. Also, remember, if you walk into a place and it looks like they can pack up their inventory and be gone overnight, that's something to consider. And also, my dad always says, go to a place that if you get mad at them, you can come back and throw rocks through their windows. So go to a place that's established in there.
Should I get my watch cleaned or repaired before I sell it?
No, never worry about cleaning or repairing your watch before you sell it, because a lot of times customers come in to me and they say, hey Chris, I've got this watch, I just spent $400 getting it cleaned and now they want to sell it. And I look at them and I see the watch, it's probably is a $400 watch if you want to pass it down to little Johnny. But when they want to get the money back out of it, a lot of times the repair costs a lot more than the watch itself. So the best bet is to leave it to the professionals. If you're thinking about selling your watches, do not get them repaired. Let the professionals handle that.
What about selling my watch on the internet?
Selling your watch on the internet is kind of a mixed bag these days. Remember, the internet's an auction, so you're never going to get a set price. So one day you might list a watch and you might get a lot of money for it, but then the next customer might list that same watch and get nothing for it. So again, the internet is up and down. There are some watches that strictly sell on the internet, but for the most part, if you have watches you're not sure about and you think they're valuable, come to a professional, have them check them out and take a look at it. They should be able to do it right in front of you while you wait and give you an offer right there.
Are watches worth more if they're old?
Older watches can be worth more. However, the criteria of what makes a watch valuable is more, what is it made out of? Is it gold? Is it silver? Is it gold filled? How old is it? Does play, but more so, who made it? Is it a better maker name? Is it a Rolex? Is it a Vacheron Constantin? Maybe it's a Hamilton watch. It was a great watch for the 20s, but not so good anymore. Again, the best thing to determine your watch value is to bring them in because it's a lot of different things of different makes. Matter of fact, a lot of watchmakers, they make the cheap line of watches, then they make the medium line, then they make the better line. So even if you have a watch that you don't think is valuable, it could be. So definitely bring it in.
Will it be worth more if I have the original box and paperwork?
Watches can be worth more if you have the original box and paperwork. However, that's usually for your higher end watches, for your Rolexes, your Breitlings. When you do have the box and papers for those type of watches, it increases the value of the watches quite a bit. However, for your most watches, the box and papers really don't matter.
Are gold watches worth more for their metal value or as a watch?
Good question. A lot of watches have exceeded their watch value because of their gold content. And a lot of people get a little upset about that and they'll say, well, why are you just buying my watch for gold? But then when I put it on the scale and weigh it and I'm offering them $2,000 for it, they're pretty happy. But again, there are still quite a few valuable watches that are worth more as watches. But a lot of the watches from the 70s and 80s that are huge clunky items with the gold bands and big watch heads, they're definitely worth more as the gold value.
Can you tell me what some of the better brand names are currently?
There's quite a few better brands. There's Rolex, there's Breitling, Omega, And even some of the older style watches, Longines, Le Coultre, Hamilton, these are all watches that could definitely be better.
Is a Rolex the best watch?
That's a question I hear a lot. A lot of people come in and they say, hey Chris, I've got my Rolex watch. This is the best watch. Rolexes are great. I mean, when you come back with your Rolex watch, if you pay $10,000, you're probably going to get 4 or 5 for it. People don't understand that even though they are good watches, there's still quite a bit of a markup. But actually in Europe and in Asia, Rolex kind of gets to almost the top and then it jumps up to another level. There's brands that we've never even heard of, like Ulysses Nardin, Patek Philippe, Vacheron. These watches actually can be worth double or triple of what a Rolex is worth.
Wow. Will the watch increase in value in the future?
Watches may increase in value in the future, but what we're running up against is a lot of these older watches, these pocket watches and these wrist watches, a lot of the watchmakers just aren't there anymore. Our watchmaker was 80 years old, was a great guy, but of course he had to retire at some point. And there's very few young watchmakers out there, so what's happening here, for some of the cheaper watches, it's impossible to get them fixed for less than $200 or $300. So basically what's happening, nobody's buying them, especially when they're not water resistant or not watertight. However, some of the better watches, as I said, Rolex, Vacheron, Patek Philippe, all of those higher end watches will always have more value and they probably will increase in the future. However, a lot of people ask me that question because they're thinking about contemplating leaving the watch to their children. So what I always say is ask your children, do you want that watch? Because if they don't want that watch and they're either going to A, sell it, or B, just put it in their jewelry box for 20 years, you may want to actually do the investigating and find out what it is and possibly sell it. That way you could just give them the money for it.
Now what about selling my watch on consignment?
Well, consignment is when someone usually can't afford to pay for the watch up front, or they don't want to pay the price you're asking. Either way, it's never a good idea to leave your watch on consignment, because if they aren't willing to offer a fair price or can't offer a fair price, if you're asking too much, you're not going to be able to sell the watch on consignment. However, remember, possession is 9/10 of the law. Once this person gets your watch or your merchandise and they hold it for 6 months and you wanted a certain price for it, well, a lot of times that watch gets sold for less than you want for it, and there's not much you can do about it, because once they sell it, they just issue you the check and it's done. So we never do any consignment here. We just try to offer you a fair price and do the best we can for you. Okay, well, we've answered a lot of questions today about watches and how to get you the most money and make sure you're dealing with the right people. So let's walk you through the process. If you're left a bunch of watches and you're really not sure what to do with them or their value, the best bet is to research first a place to take them to. I suggest, of course, a coin store, a coin shop, and usually they're not just coin stores anymore. They deal in jewelry, coins, watches. Gather up your watches, do not repair them, bring them into the place. What they'll do, they should be able to answer your questions immediately, take a look at the watches, make you an offer, and basically tell you what they're worth. And please remember, check and make sure that they're listed with the Better Business Bureau, that they're on the Chamber of Commerce, and that they've been in business for quite a few years, that they're entrenched in the community, they're giving back, because you don't want to sell to someone when you walk into the place and it looks like they could pack up the shop in 1 second and be gone. So in order for you to get the most for your money, please research first, bring them in, and then make a decision. Well, anyways, if there's any questions I've left out, please contact me. Again, Chris Arbitine, Bel Air Coins, Gold and Diamonds, and the Silver Queen in Tampa Bay, Florida. My email address is chris@silverqueen.com. And I'll tell you what, I've joined the modern era here. I have a cell phone, and if you want to text me pictures of watches, 727-458-2148. Again, 727-458-2148. And feel free to text me anytime you want, or email me, or check out our website. It's belaircoins.com. Again, that's belaircoins.com. And our phone number is 727-585-4502. That's during business hours. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot.